Welcome, everybody. Welcome back. Welcome back to another episode this week. Welcome to the Well-Rounded Counselor podcast. If you're new here, welcome. If you've been with me for a long time, thank you for continuously coming back and joining me on this incredible journey. Today, we're going to be talking about everything that goes into being an effective, empathetic, and well-rounded counselor. And I'm your host, Katrina Marie. I help career changers become college counselors and get hired in premium international schools. And today, we're going to dive deep into a topic that I feel is very close to home for me. And that topic is why being a great counselor just isn't about having multiple certifications. Now, if you're out there listening and you feel like you've become an accidental college counselor, this episode is for you. And maybe you're in another role, whether it's a teacher or in another field, or you're an educator of some sort, and you didn't plan to be in this field, but somehow here you are. You are helping students navigate the most important stages of their life. And today we're going to talk a little bit more about that and why this topic is so important. Now, let me tell you, you're not alone. There are so many of us who didn't necessarily follow this traditional route. And today I'm going to share some stories with you. I'm going to share my own story, and we're going to break down the college counseling stereotypes of how to get a certification and, the myths that most people kind of make you think and believe that you need to do in order to become this qualified international college counselor. But it's so much more than having the right qualifications on paper, becoming a college counselor. It's so much more. We're just going to get into that in just a minute. So this topic is super timely, super important. And I'm going to talk more about this in my program, The Confident Counselor, and we'll talk more about that step later. But for now, I just want you to just enjoy this few minutes we have together. This time is super precious. This is your time. And I really want to take the opportunity to remind you that, like I said in my last podcast, results don't have to take a lot of time. So if you're new and you feel like you've just landed in my world, well, welcome. You are in for a treat today. So without further ado, let's jump into today's topic, which is all about why certifications are not the only thing that need to push your career forward. Why licenses and degrees and trainings, those are not the only thing to push you forward into becoming an incredible, confident counselor and a confident college counselor, right? Because many of you who come to me all want to learn these skills. And while that's wonderful, there's so much more behind the actual skill sets, the mindset, the strategy, the personality, the confidence. Confidence is really all about just you knowing you have an it factor, an X factor, and there's something about you that people love being around you for. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that as I get into some of the points today. So let's jump into the first one. We're going to talk about the myth of having a certification. Now, let's start with this topic because this is something I hear all the time. And people say it's hard to get hired in any kind of school, any international school. And I just want to say BS. I called it BS because I've seen some wild things, and I'm going to share what those wild things are in just a moment. But on paper, I get it. It sounds super practical. You need to go get a master's degree, or you need to go get a certain license or certification or take certain trainings. And while that is super logical, that's not always the case for every single person. At least in my career, in my 2 decades of counseling, I've met a lot of people, and I've met a lot of people who have just literally fallen into this profession. So this profession is something that attracts people from all walks of life. This is not just a singular path. This is not just like, oh, I woke up when I was 10 years old and decided I want to be a career counselor. No, these are collections of experiences that have led an individual to want to help people and help people make an informed choice for their own life. So we're going to dive more into this. So here's the thing. I am tired of having this. I'm tired of people saying that you have to have a college counseling certification. And in order to get a job, this is not true. Like I said, I've witnessed some wild things. So let me paint a picture for you. Let me paint a picture. So I remember years ago that I had to go to this training that my school had sent me on, and it was a IB training. And when I was sitting in the certification level 1 training of this training, this workshop, there were so many people who were so lost. They were literally telling me that they were like the school nurse that now had all of a sudden become a college counselor. Like, that sounds wild. That sounds wild to me. When I met this woman, I was like, huh? Who you? Who this? Like, I just didn't understand how someone made that connection of like, okay, you're a nurse, and then like we're just putting you in a college counseling role, and we're going to sign you up for some trainings, which at the end of the day, I'm not saying trainings are bad. They're very helpful. I myself still go to them. because you need to be up to date with trends and all of that. But just the transition was so quick that how do you justify that in a logical way? Let me give you another example. I've worked and I've seen and I've met other people who have worked as a psychology teacher, and all of a sudden they've turned now career counselor. Now you might say, okay, there's a quicker link with being a psychology teacher, understanding the mind, working with people, working with students, being a teacher already. Yes, but the transition of that was quite quick, right? So again, how do you justify the logic behind that without having a proper training or a proper certification? So there are things that happen in international schools that don't always make sense. And so in my last episode, I talked about jobs can come anywhere at any time. And in these people's cases, that's literally what happened. They have accidentally fallen into the role of a career and college counselor. So as you go into, the next hiring season, if you're looking for a role, this is something to be mindful about, that jobs come in all shapes and sizes. People come with different experiences of all walks of life. You have probably fallen into this career by accident and you're just trying to figure out your way out through it. And this is an opportunity for you to learn that it doesn't have to be linear. Your process doesn't have to be linear. And I'm here to kind of like give you the real raw truth and expose what I've seen. And it's a total utter myth that you absolutely need a certification. So let me get my notes here. Sorry about that. Okay. Now, I know you're thinking this all sounds crazy, but I'm going to talk a little bit about my own story, how I fell into counseling. And I'll be honest, I'm sure you've heard my story a bazillion times, but my story kind of started out where I didn't really have career guidance. I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I was kind of lost when I was in high school. I had a high school counselor and I kind of didn't have like the guidance or a mentor growing up at home. And I thought I wanted to just go into making movies or broadcast journalism, ended up being my major. And I thought I wanted to be in something creative. And while I was going to school as a university college student, I fell into a career counseling job as a part-time job just because I wanted to make some extra money. I thought, oh, this sounds interesting. I had a good experience applying to college. It sounded nice. And let me tell you, this was the start of my path to becoming a college counselor, because if I had not taken up that opportunity to just apply for a job and go to the interview, let alone I wasn't even going to go to this interview to become this college advisor aide role back in the day. I was actually really hesitant and resistant to the idea, but I had a little push from somebody I used to work for and just encouraged me to go apply and see what happened. And I'm so glad that she did that, because now I don't even know what I would be doing, to be honest with you guys. It's wild to think like that one person, that one moment, that was like the pivotal moment that literally started my entire journey. And I accidentally fell into this career because after I started working for this college career advisor position in a high school back in Long Beach, California, I started working with students. I learned the college admission process. I guess I was naturally empathetic. I was naturally good with working with students. I just kind of loved waking up in the morning and going to work every day. It was just something that I cannot explain. And I just decided I'm really good at this and I want to see this through. So I started exploring the idea of getting a master's degree in counseling. Now, I did not, let me preface this, I did not go for the K-12 school counselor route because I decided that that would pigeonhole me into only being K-12. And I wanted to have the other side of the table, which is higher education. I wanted to have that opportunity available to me as well. So I decided to go for a degree called Student Development in Higher Education. And this allowed me to do the pre-college piece and also when students are at university. So this counseling program was quite robust. And let me tell you, when I got myself into that whole thing with becoming a counselor, I had no idea. I wasn't even selected for the program initially. I was on the wait list because I just maybe didn't have all of the things that they were looking for. And by the grace of God, I somehow got into the program. And so once I got into the program, I was way in over my head. My confidence was non-existent because I really didn't feel like I fitted in the program throughout the entire time, which is crazy to think about. I feel like I was just there going through the motions. And there was many times where people gave me feedback about, you're not professional enough. You just kind of show up and you can't even make like the theory to practice connections because you don't have the experience. Like these were the kind of things that people were saying to me. And I just didn't give up no matter what my circumstances looked like. I just carried on through the program. I did my best. And funny enough, through that experience of working in my master's program, which was a 3-year program, by the way, most programs are only 2. Mine was a 3-year program. I did get some internships and work experience, and I didn't have a lot of mentoring, or at least good mentoring, good quality faculty mentoring. But there was one person who had my back, and this person had been a president at many universities, community colleges, both in California and abroad in Dubai. And this person just took me under his wing. He made me feel like I wasn't crazy. He made me feel like there were possibilities out there for me. And lo and behold, I don't know, like I found someone who supported my vision, even when nobody else was. And so that's just to kind of give you the context of where I came from. I didn't know what I wanted to do in high school. I was taking up all these odd-end jobs just to make money. I fell into this career just by happenstance. I ended up liking it. I got a master's in it. I didn't have the support while I was in the master's. And like by the grace of God, by the end of it, I made it through. I graduated, I did the thing. And I look back at myself and I thank that version of me so much for not giving up. And so if you're listening to this and you are somehow in this accidental counselor role, and I want you to think about all the experiences that have led you up to this very moment. And was there a moment that you can recount and rethink that if you had not done that one thing, maybe it wouldn't have set you on this path to becoming a career counselor or a college counselor or working with students? Was there a moment in your life that you could really remember? It was like that one thing that could have changed the whole path of everything you know in this moment. So I thank that version of me. I thank that version of me for being a risk taker. I thank that version of me for saying yes to opportunities when it didn't make sense, when nobody was supporting me, when nobody had my back. I was the only person that had my back. So maybe you too have had similar experiences, and maybe you've started in other roles, and one day, boom, you're suddenly the go-to college counselor, or you're just thrown into a role. And at first, it is overwhelming. I get it. I hear you. And you do feel the pressure to measure up, because sometimes in these roles, we don't have everything. We don't have everything. And I certainly did not have everything when I got into an international college counseling environment. I maybe had 5 out of the 10 skills, you guys. I had limited experiences, but there were people who saw something in me and believed in me, even when I didn't have all of the certifications, even when I didn't have all of the trainings, even when I didn't have all the acronyms at the end of my last name. Somewhere, somehow, some way, people gave me a chance and hired me because there was something in me, my confidence, the way I showed up, the value that I brought to the table was something that they needed in that environment, in that school, in that position that they needed to fill. So I'm so grateful that I had all of those things happen. And I know for you, you need to look at what was that thing, okay? So let me tell you, you can absolutely thrive in this field. Like, even if you're coming from an unconventional background, there are people who come and work with me who worked in banking roles, who took a career gap, who used to be in executive leadership roles. People come to me from literally all walks of life and want to work with me because they see something in me. It's my vibe, it's my energy, it's my career experience. They're like, she's my coach, she's my mentor, and she's going to teach me the skills that I need in order to translate all of that into getting hired, okay? So the college counseling, the skills that actually matter, we're gonna talk about that now. Here's the thing, college counseling is about people. It's about people at the end of the day, okay? It's not just a process. While we do need to know and understand processes and procedures and, how to walk a student through all of that, it's about building relationships with people and understanding what students need and guiding them through their next steps, okay? Every single individual that I've ever worked with, no two students have ever been identical in their process. So it's all about understanding the nuances of each individual. And the certifications and the tools, yes, they can give you the process, but they don't always give you the empathy. They don't always give you the resilience. They don't always give you the ability to connect with the students who stress you out about their future, right? So this is what my program, The Confident Counselor, does. It does all of those things. It gives you the resilience. It gives you the empathy. It gives you the ability to connect with people. Okay. And there are people out there who want to just regurgitate information. And yes, you can do that. You can learn something and just like spit it back out and repeat it a million times. But That's not why people want to come work with you. They want to come work with you because there's something about you. Remember, it's that confidence piece. So it's not about the certifications. It's not about where you got your master's degree or a college counseling degree from. Like, nobody freaking cares about that. I told you guys in my last episode, nobody ever asked me, where did I go to school and get my master's degree or my college counseling background? Like, it's not a thing, you guys. So those are the skills you need to learn and present by genuinely caring and showing up every day for your student, because it's selfish if you don't know how to show up for other people. It's selfish if you hold back that amazingness that you can offer to the world. Now, I've met counselors who didn't follow the traditional path. I've worked with counselors who didn't follow the traditional path. And guess what? They're some of the best people in the field, you guys. They are former teachers, they're former administrators, they're former psychotherapists, former social workers, and who just happen to fall into this counseling gig and bring something special because they had a different perspective. They have a confidence to learn the material, and they have something about them that is magnetizing for students to want to work with them. So I want to give you some advice for the accidental counselor, okay? Because I know you probably are feeling like, okay, like what's next? So if you're feeling like you don't have all the official credentials, the certifications, the licensing, or you just feel like you are an imposter, right? Remember this. You don't need a certificate for people to care. You don't need a certificate for people to actually care, you guys. You don't need a license for you to know what's best for your students. You don't need a license. What you need is actually the willingness to learn, to adapt, and to bring your own unique strengths and experiences to the table, because I guarantee you, you're going to have a better edge if you're coming from different backgrounds to give career guidance, because you've lived in different career industries and worked with different people and different organizations. And all of those things are super transferable and amazing skills to bring to work as a college and career counselor, because you have lived something that students are deeply craving. That's one disadvantage that I probably had. Is I've always worked in education. And while I was in school, I worked in hospitality and I've worked in customer service in different capacities. And although those experiences were helpful to me at the time, I cannot speak to working in different industries like journalism and banking and engineering. Like, people come from all walks of life prior to getting into education. And I think that that is such a powerful thing that people need to own. And those experiences need to bring merit, and you need to own it, because students are looking for people like you that have that beautiful magic and spark that can enrich their life. So it would be super selfish of you to not show up and share that experience with people, because people need to hear your message. If you feel like you are special, if you feel like you have something to give to the world, you feel like you have a message, it would be super selfish for you to keep that to yourself. So why not show up and do the thing? Why not show up and send that resume? Why not show up and apply for a job that you've been afraid to apply for? Okay, I want you to embrace the unknown, like flirt with the unknown, get uncomfortable with it. Like, I get uncomfortable with the unknown every single day, especially in my business, especially in my career, especially in so many things. Like, there were so many moments of unknown and I didn't know the answer, but I embraced it with so much elegance and curiosity. And the learning curve and the outcome was a high return on investment. Okay, so don't worry about what you don't know. Don't worry about that, because the knowledge will come. But if you want to work with me inside the Confident Counselor program, it might come quicker. Instead, focus on what you can learn, okay? I want you to dive into all your resources that you currently have, all your experiences, connect with other counselors, connect with other professionals, keep adding tools to your tool belt, because those things are only going to enrich you. But don't rely on certifications. Don't rely on just getting another piece of paper, because I guarantee you nobody's going to care. The only person that's going to care is you. Like, that's it. Okay. And the second thing I want to say is you need to lean on mentors. Right? The people that come to me is because they trust me to lead them, to guide them, to coach them, to mentor them. And you need to find people who've been doing this work for a while, who you can ask questions and learn from their experiences. And don't be afraid to ask for advice, because that's how you expedite the process 10x speed, 100x speed. The people that come to me, they collapse their timeline in just a couple months inside the Confident Counselor program, because they don't want to waste any more time. They did that. They did the searching around Google and trying to figure it all out for themselves. I've even been guilty of doing that, you guys. So I want to invite you to lean on a mentor who can guide you very laser precision specific, and get you to your goal. Okay, so find somebody who you vibe with, who you know is your go-to person, go-to woman, go-to guy, whoever it is that you're like, aha, this is the person that I know is going to get me my desired result, and who's going to hold space for you. Somebody that's going to hold you during those moments where you feel like, I don't know if I can do it. You need a mentor who can hold you, but not handhold you, right? There's a difference. So if you are looking for that kind of support, like I said, I offer that inside of my container, which is a one-on-one coaching program for 2 months called the Confident Counselor Program, where I help you learn the college counseling skills. Also, I teach you so much more about mindset, strategy, and all of those things that are going to help you get hired in top international schools and work with incredible students with so much confidence. So don't be afraid to reach out to me if you feel like this message is resonating with you, if you feel like you've accidentally fallen into this profession and you feel like you need to learn a thing or two just to kind of make sure that you are doing your job as best as you can. Okay. And number 3, focus on the relationships. Okay. Counseling is all about the connections with people at the core of this. Students should be at the core of what you do. And don't forget, like, we need to also work with families. We need to work with teachers. We need to work with our colleagues. Building relationships with all of these people is essential, and it has nothing to do with a certification. Okay. All of that comes down to you as an individual, your personality, your character, what you have to offer, how you can show up and be the best person you can be. So I want to just remind you that of these 3 things. So why did I create the Confident Counselor Program? I want to talk about this for a minute because so many of you guys are dropping into my DMs. So many of you guys follow me on social media. And, one of the reasons why I created the Confident Counselor Program was because I was an accidental college counselor myself. Okay. And there are so many amazing people out there who have already become great counselors, like I've mentioned before, and they come from different backgrounds, whether it was in education or it was in another industry, but they don't have all the pieces of things to kind of package them in the right way. So I just want to remind you that you don't have to have a piece of paper to say you're a college counselor, because there are so many people out there who are doing it without the certification, who are doing it just by accident. And this program is designed for people who are ready to step up and grow their skill sets, upskill themselves, and embrace their full potential. And these are people who are either educators or who are tired of feeling like, they don't belong. Okay. I want to help you break that imposter syndrome. I want to help you break the lack of confidence and build that confidence so you can show up every single day and do the most incredible transformation, not just for yourself, but for the people around you. Because like I said, if you feel like you can do this, even just the slightest little inkling, imagine if you were in this 2-month container with me, and at the end of it, how you would walk out of that. Just the miracles just working with somebody is incredible. And I see it inside of my own program with my own clients, the wins that they're bringing me every week, the things that are happening for them just by being in this energy. So I want to invite you to come and gain some new skills that will serve you a lifetime of results, to get the confidence, the practical skills, the mindset shifts, and most importantly, you'll learn how to navigate this profession with so much clarity and intentionality. So if you're thinking about taking those next steps of joining me inside of the Confident Counselor Program, do not wait. Do not wait, because right now it is recruitment season. Everybody's putting in their intentions, and you will not believe how many people I see that are moving on from their positions, and positions are opening up right now. So do not wait. I want to be there for you. I want to support you. I want to help you step into your best version. So send me a DM, send me a message. I'm going to leave all of my details below in the show notes. Let me know. And, I would love to and be honored to be your coach. So let's do this together. Let's make miracles happen. Let's make the next 10 weeks of 2024 incredible, so you can step into 2025 super duper confident and no longer feeling like an accidental counselor, because you deserve to feel like a confident counselor. All right. So thank you so much for joining me on today's episode, and I cannot wait to catch you guys all on the very next episode. See you.